Jens Stoltenberg, former Secretary of General of NATO, so pleased to meet you again as the incoming chairman of the Munich Security Conference. Just when you thought things were going to get easier, right?
Yes.
MSC 2026 comes under the theme, under destruction.
Yeah.
Like just what you didn't need. But just to start us off, give me your take on how the transatlantic relationship feels to you right now, sort of a pulse. Because this used to be a conference, you and I have been coming here for many years, where the Americans and Europeans basically came to slap each other's back and talk about all the constructive things they're doing. So give me a take today as you come in to take over this conference.
It's obvious, everyone can see that the transatlantic relationship is facing some serious problems, some serious disagreements, and I think we see a fundamental change in that relationship. But that doesn't mean that it's over, it's finished. I believe strongly in Europe and North America working together because we are safer when we work together, and then we need to address the disagreements on tariffs, on trade, on Greenland, and I think that this Munich Security Conference actually was an invitation to do exactly that.
You didn't feel that, the tension last year, which really was shocking, you don't feel that this year. You agree with those analysts who say that things are calmer because of the Rubio speech.
Things are calmer because the message from Secretary Rubio was that we actually he wants to have dialogue with Europe, and he also recognized the importance of Europe and the other allies, Canada. That doesn't mean that all the problems are solved. Of course, it is serious that the United States has claimed a part of another country, territory of another country, Denmark, Greenland. But compared to where we were some weeks ago or last year, we are in a much better place because now at least there is a process. Denmark, Greenland are talking to Washington, United States, and I think there is an interest and a will to try to find common ground.
I always remember your comments that President Trump used to tell you, if you want full coverage, you have to pay full price for your insurance policy. So I was thinking, who forgot to sign to read the small print on Greenland? Because you could never have expected that. The fights during your time, and they were nerve-wracking at the time, were about money. Now those seem easy, don't they, when you compare it to one ally threatening to invade another?
Yes, but I think still money matters, and I think that
especially to you.
Yeah, as a Minister of Finance, but it matters for all NATO allies, and it matters in particular for the United States, because the United States has been calling on European allies and Canada to spend more. And the good news is that that's exactly what the European allies and Canada are doing, significantly more. And I think that's also why when you listen to the US or the Trump administration, the criticism is not primarily against NATO, it's against NATO allies not paying enough for NATO, and I think that's a valid point, and Europeans are delivering.
And I actually remember when you worked out those talking points, and these, because I used to know every word when you changed it, and this actually became quite a productive message for you, that this isn't, that President Trump isn't criticizing NATO, he's criticizing our spending, and Norway was not among the leaders in spending at that moment.
No.
Was it?
No, that's correct. Now we are above 3%. That includes that we are providing significant support to Ukraine,
which you also were behind on, and
yes. As in Norway, I was Minister of Finance 30 years ago in Norway, and in the 1990s, I was, as most Minister of Finance in most NATO countries, responsible for reducing defense spending, because we thought that after the end of the Cold War, the fall of the Berlin Wall, things were going in a more safe and peaceful direction. I think it was not naive to believe in that, but at least over the last decade, it has been obvious that Russia is still a threat, and therefore we need to invest more in our defense.
One fun fact about you that I always loved, besides that you were women's minister imposed with weights, was that you didn't believe in NATO, for Norway, but of course you evolved in your views. But I really wanted to, even having covered you the entire 10 years, I learned a lot from your book, and I enjoyed hearing the things that we weren't able to get out of you on the podium, learning what happened behind the scenes. And one thing that really touched me, because it was such an issue for us, was your first visit to Ukraine, or your many visits to Ukraine. I could hear the tone change. For example, when you were there after Bakhmut, these things, they affected you very, very deeply. And I remember one anecdote in the book about visiting a young mother who had just lost her son. And of course, as a parent, as anyone, it's very painful. But you came out and said that you felt bad, that you actually regret that NATO allies, again, it's not NATO because they don't have weapons, that NATO allies didn't do more to help Ukraine sooner. Do you think that that would have been a game changer? And is it still a mistake to this day that they don't have deep strike capabilities, that it takes President Zelensky so many begging trips before he gets heavy weaponry? You can say it now. More should have been done then, but more should be done now, shouldn't it?
So first of all, I try to be honest in the book because I believe in transparency. I believe in describing exactly what happened from the inside, and also actually telling a story about how it was to be me in the middle of all that as a private person. Then I try to describe the successes of NATO. NATO allies have provided unprecedented support to Ukraine. But the big mistake was not to provide more support earlier. We should have started in 2014. If we had done that, I think at least the Ukrainians would have been able to now control more Ukrainian territory than they do, and perhaps even prevent Russia from invading if we had armed them and trained them in all those years between 2014 and the full-scale invasion in 2022.
Is it a mistake today?
I think we should do more today. Actually, the first decision, the first proposal I was part of or making when I became Minister of Finance in Norway was actually to ensure that Norway tripled its military support to Ukraine.
You guys were under a lot of pressure from your Nordic allies.
Yeah, but I mean, we are now providing 7.3 billion euros. We did that last year. We will do it this year, and we are less than 6 million people in Norway, and it's no other country provides more support measured per capita or as share of GDP.
You're also richer than a lot of other allies, so...
Yeah, but I mean, 1.3% of GDP is more than other allies, and that's measured against your income. But I'm calling on other allies to do more, and of course we will always consider what more we can do in NATO, in Norway. But I also think that you have a valid point pointing out that we also were too slow in providing the more advanced weapon systems,
which have still not been provided in some cases. When you talk to your American counterparts, it's not your lane anymore, but do you say, oh, and by the way, Tomahawks could be a game changer?
I understand that you're asking that question, but I'm still a politician. I'm still in a role where I have kind of responsibility. So I will be careful being too specific, but I still have the opinion that we should also ensure that Ukraine has long-range fires, that they have precision weapons, and that they also have advanced weapon systems.
Toward what end? Because some people have trouble saying that they believe Ukraine should win. Do you believe Ukraine must win on the battlefield? Otherwise, Europe's own future is at stake? I mean, is there any way that Ukraine can have a piecemeal peace deal and that your country is safe?
Well, I believe it's absolutely possible for Ukraine to prevail and to ensure that Russia is not winning this war.
But does Ukraine need to win? You're still
sidestepping. But it depends a bit what you mean by winning. If you mean Ukraine being able to liberate all the territory that Russia controls today, well, that's a very long way to go. But for Ukraine to be able to impose so heavy costs on Russia that they have to sit down and agree some kind of peaceful end to this war where Ukraine prevails as a sovereign, independent state. That's absolutely possible, because you have to look at the facts. The facts is that over the last year, in 2025, Russia was able to increase the control of territory that equals to 0.8%, less than 1% of Ukrainian territory. And for that, they pay a price which is roughly 1,000 casualties, seriously wounded and killed every day. And of course, even for Russia, that's a very high price to pay. Their economy is in deep trouble, and they have seen that the effect of what they have done is more NATO, 2 new members, Finland and Sweden, and more NATO in the eastern part of the alliance. So if we keep up the support, if the Ukrainians continue to demonstrate the bravery and courage they have demonstrated since the beginning of this war, well, I think it's absolutely within reach to ensure that Ukraine will prevail. Okay,
I'm running out of time, so I'll combine my last 2 questions. Mark Rutte has been put in a place that's even more difficult than you were, and you had a difficult place at times. A lot of diplomats will say behind the scenes that, I'm just glad it's not me. Are you saying these days, I'm glad it's not me these days? And as a very final thought, in a I mean, we're not going to ask about a perfect world because that's nowhere in sight, but even in a marginally better world next year, when you are chairman of the Munich Security Conference, what do you hope could be the title? I won't make you come up with like a clever two-word thing, but what would you like to see? Where would you like to see us when MSC takes place next year?
Well, I would like to see optimism, and that we again are able to believe that the world is moving forward. And that has happened before. It can happen again, but it's up to us. And to do that, we need platforms like the Munich Security Conference to sit down and find common ground for how to move this world in the right direction.
And you wouldn't want to change places with anybody these days?
No, I am happy as the Minister of Finance in Norway. I'm a bit surprised that I ended up there, to be honest. But I am very motivated to do that, and I'm also then motivated to at some stage also take over the responsibility here in Munich.
Could you have done the things Mark Rutte has done to keep the alliance together?
Well, first of all, I have great respect for Mark Rutte, and he is doing a very important job as Secretary General of NATO. Then I think that I will never end up as a kind of Secretary General from the past, assessing the current Secretary General. He has faced enormous challenges, and he has managed them in a good way.
Well, I hope reconstruction can be part of the title of the next MSC. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks so much.